Hi, well, I'm in between commissions at the moment, so I thought I would do something for myself. This is a photo I took of Bamburgh Castle in Northumbria, one of my favourite places. It's a different view to normal. Generally, Bamburgh Castle is seen from the beach. It's very impressive and imposing, but I really like this view. The sun is quite red. It's late afternoon and it's hitting the castle from a very unusual angle. So that's the photograph. This is my painting underway now. So we've been laying down the light tones first, particularly the slightly reddy orange areas where the sun is hitting the battlements, as it were. It's had a very slight pink orangey wash, and obviously, as you can see, the sky's been done, big area there. I've had a little play about in this part with taking it through to possibly the finished effect. I think I may well work on that a bit more. I just need maybe to lighten this area up here a little bit more, and perhaps lighten this bit here, maybe a little bit too dark. But it's a challenge. I love doing the architecture, so we'll see how we get on. I'll do a little bit for you to see the process, and then we'll call it a day for now. Now, with an artist's typical waste not, want not attitude, these are palettes that I've been using for other drawings, and because watercolour can be used and reused, once you add water to these, they come alive again. There's not a lot of point in cleaning out your palettes every time, because you may well find that you're going to need these colours again. And this, for example, is Payne's Grey mixed with various other colours I've been using. Payne's Grey is very good for using or producing a darker tone of a colour that you're working on. To produce a lighter tone, you'd normally add more water to it to lighten it up. But to get a darker tone, you can't just really use the natural pigment, because that just produces a richer tone of the colour. So if you want to darken it down, Payne's Grey is a really good way of doing it. These are some of the browns and yellows, and I tend to have different colours around in the palette. So the paler over here, the darker up there, and I can dip into it where I want. So I shall be using these colours again, although they were used on a previous commission. Now, when you're working with watercolour, you start with the lightest colour and then go to the darkest. But there is one exception to this. That's because the colours are waterproof, and you can't actually put a lighter colour on a dark one. But the exception to that is called gouache, which is an opaque white, and it can be quite useful if you've gone too light or too dark on something, to use it to lighten it up. Now, most watercolour paints, or in fact all watercolour paints, will dry about 50% lighter than the colour you put them on. So you need to put things on darker because they will lighten up as they dry. Now, this looks quite horrendous, what's happening there, but in fact, having put that on, I can then, with a dry brush, I can then lift some of that white off again and bring it back to how I want it. I don't know if this is staying in focus very clearly for you. And then when I brought that back to how I want it, I can then actually run a bit of repair over it and recolour it. But you see, it's just a bit, what I had was just a bit too dark for what's on here. So just going to bring that up a bit, and I'm going to need two hands for this, so I'm going to have to put my camera down. I'll be back in a moment. Right, well, while that's just drying, because you can't do anything really while it's wet, This is the sort of the effect I've got to recreate. It's the brickwork. And you'll see there's a lot of pale colours, a lot of darker ones, a lot of mid-tones, and that's what I need to reproduce on the drawing. If we come down here, it's all horizontal brickwork. I've had a little bit of penwork in there already. This all needs to be finished off. This is nearly dry, and then I can reattempt just to bring this more to life. There's some very interesting parts on here. The buttresses there, this amazing bay window tower effect, and the very complicated roof lines. So I'm really looking forward to tackling those. You see, I've done the penwork already. Basically we'll continue doing the highlights and the light shades. We'll be working, as I said before, following that rule of light to dark. This was an exception because I was just experimenting with what I'm planning on doing, but I will finish this off before attacking the rest of the picture. Now again, while I'm waiting for that gouache to dry, I'm just working on the, oops, going out of focus again. It's a dreadful camera, this, I must say. Taking the horizontal lines, it's all horizontal, so just doing a little bit of infill. I don't want to lose too much of this glow from the sun, but we start off just by bringing in this faint representation of brickwork. I'm also just going to put a bit more colour onto there, and then we can add just a little bit of the same colour. You know, when you do it in layers with the same colour, that colour will get darker. It's better than going in for something dark and adding that in. So just using the same colour really, and then it will just bring it up a little bit darker as it meets what it's already done. Doesn't look anything now, and often when you're in the middle of painting things, you look at it and you think, this isn't working, this isn't going to turn out how I want it to, but it will. And you keep referring to the original bit of the picture to get a feel for the brickwork that we've got. And that is quite a dark area, but you've still got that underlying red from the sun. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now. It's quite difficult to paint when you've got a camera running, but I will come back to it occasionally and you can see how it's progressing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you another time.